I know you've been a critic of Candace Owens. I just know that when one issue that is like a soap opera that can't be answered because there is questions, but then it's just this endless factory of never getting to the answers. What do you think of this whole fiasco?
Well, I think she's an amateur conspiracy theorist. I think that she's somebody who, for many years, she had other people writing her script for her. She had Ben Shapiro writing her script. She had Charlie Kirk writing her script. And it was easy enough to go and say that black people are going to vote Republican for Brexit and whatever she was supposed to say at Daily Wire. Now that she writes her own script and she's sort of glommed onto this conspiracy stuff, it's like you say, she really doesn't know how to create a theory, a conjecture, a postulate. She doesn't know how those things work. And you're right. If there's going to be some sort of grand conspiracy, you compartmentalize it. You don't get 2,000 people in a room from France, Israel, Egypt, the admin, this and that law enforcement agency and Turning Point and say, all right, everybody, so we're going to plant the explosive microphone and then we're going to do this and then you compartmentalize it. And you probably have a handful of people on a need to know basis. And maybe it's one faction of one intel agency. That's typically how these things unfold. But this is a person who is really just looking at anything based on other heuristics, like, well, Charlie wanted to audit Turning Point, so it's a cover-up of a money thing. And, oh, there was some foreign people with foreign phones in the audience. Oh, it's a foreign intelligence conspiracy. And just kind of going based on things that we've seen in the past, similar patterns, putting them all together into, I don't even know what the theory is at this point. And it's like you say.
False pattern recognition. But you're almost being too kind here. There was a sophistication, I think she is having somebody advise her, the sophistication, kind of the Q 2.0, esoteric, Gnostic level of it. Or maybe she's just, herself has some delusions, and so maybe she was projecting that on, but I didn't see some genius there.
Well, she's certainly good at what she does. It is a soap opera, and it's a serial. Every day we're going to check in and hear about the crazy new thing. And you're right, there is something maybe sophisticated and Gnostic about it. I look at this guy who's been supporting her, John Mappin. I don't know why nobody's talking about John Mappin, the Scientologist, the heir to the jeweler that creates the crown jewels for the British royal family. He allegedly introduced her and her husband. He's been so supportive. She retweets him. He's writing letters to her. He was best friends with Charlie Kirk. His wife is from Russia. I don't know why nobody's talking about that guy. No one's talking about George Farmer. They all met through Turning Point UK. So you have Turning Point USA. She met her husband through Turning Point UK. She made a bag off of Turning Point USA and Turning Point UK. So there's definitely something suspicious going on there. Maybe a foreign intelligence play of its own, talking about the French and the French president and the French president's wife and France's involvement in this. So there could be some sophistication there. And I would say to the extent that there is a conspiracy, no one's talking about the Mormon mafia. I don't believe that there's some grand conspiracy to kill Charlie Kirk. I think, like you say, it's Tyler Robinson. And when you saw him make his court appearance, he's wearing a trans tie. And
just want to mention, I'm not sure whether I fully agree with what Nick is saying with regards to that, but I do also on that same hand, I do think there is a serious problem with violence on the radical left. That's in the UK as well as the US. So there is the idea that all these conspiracies are coming out to kind of distract from that. However, on the other hand, I don't know. I mean, it could have been foul play. Being completely honest, I'm still undecided on that. Still looking at things. Let me know what you think. But also, what he's mentioned about Candace Owens, she is someone who I do like her. Being completely honest, but if you look into her and the person that she's married to and the people that she is kind of close to, I don't know. There definitely could be something going on there. In terms of a lot of the conspiracies that she's onto, some of it I'm not sure about. And again, I don't fully trust Candace Owens just because of the kind of connections that she's got. I do like her, but I think Nick is right that people shouldn't look a little bit more into the kind of people that she's connected to and then make your own opinion on her.
Why would he be the patsy? If they're supposed to be, if this is about Israel or some other thing, why do you pick some hick lib white guy pro-trans activist, why would he be the patsy? And where are his parents? Where are the people like trying to defend him? It doesn't even make any sense. To the extent that there is a cover-up, it would be about the Mormon Mafia, because the killing happened in Utah. Turning Point is a Mormon organization. It's Utah Public Safety that's doing the investigation. I never even heard of that on her show. She never even talks about that. Instead, she's talking about her dreams and beekeepers and, you know, almost everything else. So,
and by the way, I'm not bashing Mormons in general. A lot of them are great conservative people, but if you know about intelligence and study politics, the Mormons have percentage the highest number in federal law enforcement and intelligence. So all you're saying is, in Utah, that area, it's a zone where you could definitely, if you wanted to change the outcome of something, do it.
Exactly. And it's strange that it happened there, because that is a zone of control where they would have a lot of influence, where they have like a mafia-like kind of stranglehold. And that was never brought up, which is interesting. And I think that it's very comparable to QAnon. This is like QAnon 2.0, where all these people have been whipped up and deputized, and it's basically just destroyed people's faith in anything. It's sort of interesting. After her meeting with Erica Kirk, she did her show yesterday, and all the top comments were saying, Candace got the call. Candace made a deal. We can't trust her. But I saw many of the comments also said, now I'm just done with politics. They're fatigued. They're literally fatigued. And they have been so wound up and twisted by this whole thing. Now that Candace is backing down and walking back all the claims, now they're saying, well, I'm just done with politics because I don't know what to believe. There's no one that's telling the truth. And so there you have it. There is the proof in and of itself. This has destroyed the confidence of the people in any kind of conspiracy theory, in any kind of alternative media. Because if you have alternative media gaslighting the people, oh, it's the French, it's beekeepers, it's a spiritual battle happening in my dreams when I go to sleep at night, and then you walk it back, then people say, well, you know what? Clearly this is just too complex or too corrupt. I'm just done with all of it.
Exactly right. I just want to say on that as well. Her meeting with Erica Kirk is probably the weirdest thing of 2025. I mean, there's a lot of weird things, but that's what kind of made me think, right, there's something fishy is going on. Why is Candace Owens meeting with Erica Kirk? It's strange. And that puts me back into the kind of connections that Candace Owens has got. You know, you talk about controlled opposition. I don't know. But yeah, definitely, you know, very, very weird. Obviously, all the situation with Erica Kirk is very, very strange, and it's a difficult one for people to fully comprehend. But yeah, that meeting in jump was just very, very strange.
In reality, it really goes down to not signing UN treaties, not giving up sovereignty, deporting illegals, or HR 3492. And guys, check, it was supposed to be voted on like the last 30 minutes to ban all transgender surgery, MTG, and the Republicans establishment, despite her, is trying to block it, which would be a major win for Trump. So anybody that doesn't vote for this must be on the Pritzker funding, but that's a real thing. This is real action. This is what we do 90% of the time. I get accused of being a conspiracy theorist because I'll give my opinion about what's behind something sometimes. The truth is this show, 95% of the time, is just legislation and what's happening in the world. This is real, folks. This is something we can do.
Well, that's exactly it. You know, we are people that are actually trying to change the country. And then you get these spectacles that come up. This is what this is a big, giant spectacle. It is a black hole. It's like you say, it's a never-ending serial, a never-ending soap opera. And it's about basically science fiction. It's like a science fiction thriller. It's like a movie from the 70s. And it's actually doing damage to people that are trying to reform politics. And the problem is a lot of these people, they just don't read. They don't read. They don't care. Candace Owens read one book. She read that book, Chaos, by like Robert O'Neill or Tom O'Neill or something like that. She read that one book. She kind of knows something's up with Israel, and that's all she needed to know. And now she's whipped up into this thing where everything's connected to everything. It's Brigitte Macron and the beekeepers and people wearing maroon shirts.
Let's be clear. I mean, I saw her like a year ago go, I just learned about the USS Liberty.
Yes.
And then I had people saying, "How dare you not cover it?" I only wrote books and made films about it 20 years ago. And I'm not in a competition with Candace. I like Candace, but it is actually true what you're saying. Isn't she emblematic though of people wake up, but you wake up and your fire alarm's going off. You don't know where the fire is at or if it's a false alarm. You wake up, you smell smoke. You still got to find it. I think they've all woken up, and so now they don't have any real context or depth. People go, well, you're 26. You've been doing this 10 years. Like I said, you were 12 into this stuff just like I was. So you've been doing it, 20 years or whatever, or 18 years. So, and we're not trying to be elitist here. It's just that I know light years more than I knew 5 years ago. And the Alex Jones 5 years ago was pretty smart. And the Alex Jones that was 20 was more informed than the average woke, patriot right now. So, but then the problem is I have all this knowledge and I give them complex answers because it's complex, and they go, and that's what I talked about yesterday, and it got spun by the media that Jones attacks Fuentes and Tucker. I didn't even say your name.
Just on that, just in mentioning about people who aren't informed and stuff, I think it's great that people are getting kind of red pill, but there is also a big kind of population that are just pushing certain conspiracies that have got no real kind of backing. I do think that's a legitimate issue, but on the other hand, I kind of disagree. I do think it's great that a lot of people are getting red pilled and like kind of waking up to this stuff.
About people that said, I mean, literally had a post like a week ago, "Hey, Chernobyl's leaking. This is a problem." And like a third of the comments were, "Cover it up for the Jews. Cover it up for the Jews." It's like, if an earthquake happens in LA, I'm going to talk about the earthquake. It's not about Jews. I'm all about criticizing Israel and Jews doing stuff, but that's a microcosm. It's not just those people. They've woken up. They've got informed about that, but that's their lane. And so to them, that's the only knowledge they have. Does that make sense?
100%. And I've seen this so many times because I operate more in this wacky space or whatever that does fixate on Jews, Israel, whatever. And it's like a red pill psychosis. It's like people can't handle it. They take one red pill and they say, oh, there's this sort of hidden truth. There's this esoteric truth. There's this hidden reality. But when they have no deep background, they have no general knowledge, they don't actually have a practical experience with this stuff, it goes off in all these different directions. And people start to talk about well, that means the earth is flat. And that means that Trump is the shadow president. And that means that the Khazar mafia, that's really what it's all about. And they go down to all these different rabbit holes, all these different red herrings, because you're right, without context, without that sort of grounding, and context is really key. You do need a ton of background information to understand how we got here. It's thousands of years of history, theology, philosophy, politics. You need to have some grasp on a lot of these subjects. You really need to be read wide and deep.
Agreed. Any conspiracy or just anything in general, if you're going to be red pill, do your research, look into things, and then kind of formulate your opinion, especially stuff like Israel and sort of touchy subjects. Don't just kind of have a surface level opinion. Look into it first and then, formulate your opinion.
These subjects to begin to contextualize it. And like you say, okay, we're doing a show about the liberty. I just found out about it last year. Oh, and coincidentally, now everything is, literally everything is Israel. Charlie Kirk is Israel. The Bondi shooting's Israel. Browns is this, that, and the other. Now, I'm going to say it's Israel, let's say 60% of the time. Now that's not good enough because the people that got red pilled 2 minutes ago, well, they know it's 110% of the time. And unfortunately, all that does is discredit the people that are actually doing the hard work, actually doing the research, actually reading the books, doing the hard work to figure these things out that are in touch with reality. I saw a lot of people say, well, it's the Jews every other time, so it's the Jews this time. That's like the gambler's fallacy. These are just basic logic problems that people are committing because they deliver Domino's pizzas for most of their life. Now they're a red pill savant or something. So I'm totally with you.
Yeah, that's kind of all I wanted to show. I agree with all of what they say, by the way, but I do think it's very important to sort of push to kind of show this and let you guys, kind of make your own opinions on it. Yeah, are they right about Candace Owens? I don't know. I'm just a guy on the internet. Let me know what you guys think down in the comments. As always, stay based. Thank you very much for watching. I'll see you on the next one.